Hey everybody, St. Paul here on vacation in Maui. I know it's hard to believe. Hey, you're in for a treat. Glen Phillips is next on Music on the Run.
Before we get started here, do me a favor. Wherever you got this podcast, make sure you subscribe, give us a rating, and if you have time and like what you're hearing, make sure you write a review. It really helps us get the word out so we can have a lot more people coming to the party. Hey everybody, I'm St. Paul Peterson. Prince gave me that nickname, and I've been lucky enough to tour with people like the Steve Miller Band, Kenny Loggins, Peter Frampton, Donny Osmond, to name a few. And when I'm not playing music, I love to run. And this is a podcast about how we stay healthy on the road, physically, mentally, and with our families. Welcome to Music on the Run. Hey everybody, St. Paul Peterson here. How are you? Welcome to episode 33 of Music on the Run. And you see that I'm not locked in my basement anymore. I have escaped to the beautiful beaches of Maui on a little holiday with my family. And man, let me tell you, it was exactly what the doctor ordered. I'm having such a good time. My kids went home yesterday. They're all home safe. And I'm hanging out for another week is what I'm doing. And I suppose you're wondering, are you running on your holiday? And my answer to that is, I've run a couple of times. This week I'm going to get out. I found a great route right around the ocean here. And I'm just trying to chill out. I'm learning how to relax. I don't even know really how to do that, but I'm pretending, fake it till you make it, I guess is what the deal is. But without any further ado, I want to talk about my guest who's on the show today. He's a singer, a songwriter, a musician. He was signed to Columbia Records when he was 15 years old. How does that happen? We're going to find that out.
18.
If my research... Was it 16?
18, but that's okay.
8. Well, good. I'm going to tell all sorts of lies here, and you're going to have to clarify all these. So, if my research is correct, he's released 8 records with Toad the Wet Sprocket, 9 as a solo artist, and... okay, well, we'll get to that. Are you still a Star Trek fan? Okay, he's not any of these things, but please welcome my terrible research, but my wonderful guest, Mr. Glen Phillips. Hey, buddy. You're at the beach, I see?
I am. I'm in Santa Barbara,
man, thank you
and I
so
was
much.
just seeing an old friend, and so, somehow I forgot that this was a Zoom thing, so I was ready to have my phone and jump on, and this is now it's not a bad backdrop.
Oh, good God, no. Well, exactly. I've got the same backdrop. It is windy as a son of a gun here. So if you hear a bunch of whips of wind, that's part of the charm of this particular podcast. But hey, Matt, thank you so much for coming on here. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So you're in Santa Barbara.
Happy to be here. Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, man, I've been having so much fun doing my research on you, and you're an incredible songwriter. Great melodies, lyrics, musicianship. It's just, it's been so much fun to learn more about you than what I already knew and dig a little deeper. You had a gig last night, didn't you? Did you have a concert last night?
I think I did. It was Sunday. Yes, I did. I have I do a staged concert pretty much every Sunday night, and then I've been doing 3 live streams on like YouTube and Facebook a week, and then I lead a kind of community choir on Tuesday nights. So I've been busy. I've been spending a lot of time singing into a computer screen this year. But yeah, show last night.
That's great. I think our internet connection is a little goofy, and it's probably on my end because they don't want you on the internet out here. They want you vacationing. All right. So I told some lies, evidently, in my intro. So let's clarify that. So I'm giving good information to the people here. How many records with Toad the Wet Sprocket?
It probably, your numbers, I mean, depending on how you count, right? It's probably 8 if you go in total. I guess it was 6 complete studio records, live record, B-side. Oh yeah, 8. Yeah, you can go 8 and 9. And I've done a bunch of solo, and then there's also been side projects like WPA, Mutual Admiration Society, Plover, Remote Tree Children, Flapping Fly. So there's been a lot of like different projects. So I'm sure your numbers were ultimately correct. It just depends on depends on what you count as a record.
How you're counting. Okay, so the reason I said you were a Star Trek fan is because I saw somewhere in an article that I think your parents had that. They were fans of that or something growing up. Is that accurate information as well?
Yeah, I was raised by nerds. So my parents were both hard science PhDs. Dad was physics, mom was chemistry. And he remembered like back, in the 60s, the entire physics department would watch the original Star Trek together, like when it first came out.
That's brilliant.
And I think we forget kind of how utopian the vision of that was. Even from the pilot of the original Star Trek, right? The Menagerie. See, I know these things, but I think it was the Menagerie. In any event, like the original Star Trek, everyone was white and male, and there was one white female. And the idea of making it as best as they could do in the 60s, having it have, multicultural, multi-race, it was this vision of a unified Earth where we'd gone past our petty nationalistic differences and achieved actual equality. And where it's like, it was a pretty big vision back in the day. And in any event, so we used to watch all the time growing up, Star Trek: The Next Generation. When that would come out, I'm not like an active Trekkie with all the brand new versions. I've watched a little, but not a lot. But I would say I'm still unabashedly a nerd. But I do more.
Perfect.
I'm more into The Expanse than I am into new Star Trek these days. And I read, more Alistair Reynolds, like hard sci-fi, or The Three-Body Problem, or Ted Chiang, and things like that. So, but I was raised by Trekkies, and I still carry a little bit of the torch.
I think that's great. My expert Trekkie sitting in the other room, my wife is the absolute expert on that. So I thought I'd throw that in there just as a little kudos to her and to the fellow Trekkies who might be fans of this podcast as well. Okay, so I also got more information wrong. I said you were the lead singer of a group at 14. Is that right? That part's right?
I was, but we didn't get signed by Columbia until I was 18. So we started, I guess when I was 17 and 18, we recorded the first 2 records, Bread and Circus and Pale. And then we got signed by Columbia. They put those 2 records out. And then I think I was 21 or something when Fear came out, 20 or 21.
Right.
So we started early.
18, man, that's incredible. What's your background? Do your parents play, or what was the household like when you were growing up?
No.
How did you become the player? Yeah.
Well, my dad was a pretty bad guitarist and saxophone player. My mom is tone deaf, but my brother played drums and keyboards. He was brilliant. And he was like kind of, I don't know if you saw Fame, like he was kind of Bruno Martinelli, right? He was programming synthesizers and
right.
And he actually went to work straight out of college. He went to Berkeley and started working for Korg, designing synthesizers. And he's been a product manager at Korg for 30 years now. So he's 30 years, close to almost 28 years or something. He's worked there. So
God,
he was a musician and he's brilliant. So I wanted to be like him and play music. And I had thought that I would be an academic. I kind of early on wanted more. I was interested in social sciences. I wanted to teach. I thought I'd be a high school teacher, probably social sciences and the arts. And then we got signed without really trying to. And I'd planned on moving away to San Francisco the next year, and instead we went on tour. And I always kind of figured we'd get dropped quick, and then I'd go back to school, but it just somehow never happened. So
18, freshly out of high school, I would imagine.
I got out of high school at 16, but yeah, fresh enough.
Right.
So
was for you, was that an adjustment? Let me give you a little background of what my deal is. I was signed at 17 with Warner's.
Oh wow!
With Prince. I come from the
That
Prince
doesn't
camp,
happen
and I
a
can
lot.
tell you from. No, I know. You and me, we're the same.
Wow.
But for me, it was such
Bye,
a.
Sarah.
Hi, Glenn.
See you.
Hi, everybody.
I had this.
Of course, it was such a learning curve for me. Thrust into, I wasn't the lead singer like you are, so I can only imagine.
Well, and you were.
That you,
I can't imagine. I mean, I got Susan Rogers told me a few stories, but the intensity of working with Prince, in and of itself, has got to be like just.
Wait a minute. Did you say Evan Rogers?
Susan Rogers.
Susan Rogers. Okay. Well, I know both those guys. I didn't know that you knew Susan.
I know Susan through Geggy Ta. So she produced Geggy Ta, like, I think kind of coming out of doing large things, and she wanted to do, she is a person whose musical path and life path I'm entirely envious of, right? Went back to school, degree in neurology. She's been doing research all this time. Like I love that she managed to kind of get out of the train of that and do other things. But yeah, no, she produced Geggy Ta, and I got to know her through that. She did a couple of recordings on the very last original Toad recordings. We did, what was the record? It was PS, which was kind of this retrospective with 2 new songs. Oh wait, was that her? No, it was our version of Instant Karma, I think she recorded for us. Fastest engineer I have ever met in my life.
I think that's because of the Prince connection, because Prince would count 1001, 1002 if stuff wasn't plugged in. Just beating on the engineers. He did that, I think, to a string of engineers, and if they couldn't keep up, they'd be gone the next day or during that session. So for those of you who don't know who we're talking about, Susan Rogers is an incredible engineer who worked on so many records with Prince, and I was lucky enough to work with her as well on the Family record, and she's become a good friend, and obviously Glenn was telling you about all the other things that she has done and worked with him as well. So it's pretty, that's a small world, I can tell you that.
Yeah, it was great. She described it as being in the studio with Prince, and if his eyes flickered towards the Hammond, you started miking it, because probably that was going to be like you just had to anticipate the next instrument. And so this kind of constant situational awareness of where he might go next, any cue you could possibly follow to kind of anticipate and prepare. I think that's why she lasted as long as she did. And I think she wasn't even like a tracking engineer, right? When she started with him, she was like there to maintain. She was more of an engineer, like maintenance.
Right.
But
I think you
she
may
knew
be
how
right.
it worked and just had the right type of attention for him to recognize her worth. She's brilliant.
Also the right personality. She is brilliant.
Yeah.
She is absolutely brilliant. Okay, well, let's go back a little bit to... so you're signed at 18. Everybody thinks that when you get signed to a major record deal, you've made it. And you and I both know that that's not necessarily true. So tell me a little bit about that journey before you had your hits in 91.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had kind of a punk rock attitude. And once again, I think I also just had the feeling, we had a weird combination of feeling like it didn't matter if it didn't work. And also the entitlement of, I mean, I felt that way. I felt like nobody gets signed and has a hit. Like it didn't seem possible. So I just figured I had also serious imposter syndrome. So my assumption was they'd figured out they'd made a mistake and they'd let us go soon, which was fine. We got to do some touring. It was great. But I didn't have that. I still don't have the ego that usually goes with wanting to do this or being that, having, I believe I'm a good writer. But I kind of, my mind tends to go to how it will fail. I would be a really good, town watchman. Always looking for what's going to go wrong, or I'd make a good actuary or something. But as far as ego, lead singer, it's not the same thing. In any event, we started touring, and when we got signed, through no fault of our own. We had made our first record, Bread and Circus, for $600 in a track tome and 48 hours to record and mix. Just knocked it out live. We thought that was fun, so we were doing another one, and Marvin Etzioni was producing it, and his manager worked at ASCAP, and he had a copy of the first album. He gave it to this guy, Nick Terzo, who I'm still friends with. Nick started dubbing off cassette copies and sending them to A&R people, and we'd never met the guy or talked to him. And
no way.
Yeah, and then Vicki Hamilton at Geffen liked it, and she started talking it up. And the next thing we knew, we had 8 majors bidding on us, and literally we had never sent out a demo. And so at that time, Columbia Records was Donnie Ienner was new there, and he was trying to show that they understood alternative and college music and that they could do artist development. So he signed us on, and they were the only record company that said we could have complete creative freedom. And so, we went with them. They licensed the first record for, I think it was $50,000, and the second record for $75,000. Which, it's a lot of money now for a record deal.
Yeah.
More than I have. Yeah. But in the day, MCA offered us, I think, $1 million. And so we wanted a high percentage, but we were we're going to earn what we make. We don't want to owe. We want to, we did a publishing deal that was more lucrative than that, but it was not more lucrative than the MCI deal, more lucrative than the Sony deal. But, but we wanted to work for what we earned, and we didn't, we had this so for Columbia, it was cool. We were cheap. We didn't cost them anything. They made their money back pretty instant. It's and we worked really hard. We toured really hard. And so, we didn't do the big deal. And every other company was well, yeah, we want to sign you, but we want you to, choose the best songs from those 2 albums, do a real studio. And instead, we got to go on the road for 3 years and learn how to be a band.
I wonder if because you made the decisions you made, striking that deal and not being greedy with the advances, if they were what, these guys, they didn't go for the big money, and we actually want to invest in what they're doing. I wonder if on their end there was some sort of a psychological and or actual belief in what you were doing, God forbid, to encourage them to hang on, because I know a lot of friends, especially in the early 90s, who was would take the big money, and if the first single didn't hit, they'd be sayonara, you're dropped, we don't see a future in you. So your situation seems to be quite rare.
Well, and between Tom Gibson, our product manager, and partially the fact that we were just cheap. We were so cheap. We didn't take any cost of living expenses. We did. Wow. We got off tour support. We toured in vans. We toured, shared rooms in motel. We went as cheap as we could for as long as we could. So we weren't costing them any money in tour support. We only our advances only covered our recording costs. We took nothing personal from the company.
No kidding.
And actually, the only time we got in trouble with the company was when we did our last record. We realized, because still after all that, we didn't see a single check until we'd sold 1.5 million records. And so
there's a lesson right there, everybody.
that's why you take the advance. But when we took a bigger advance on our last record on Coil, then we didn't have the freedom anymore. That we had to have the single. We had to work with the producer that Donnie, you can't play that game halfway. But we had a really good ride. But I mean, it was crazy. We just got to do everything we wanted to, and it actually worked. So, but part of it is we treated it like it was an indie record, an indie label. And the thing about it was an indie label with the most incredible promotion setup of any label in the world. Like every town we went to, we would get up in the morning and there would be a radio guy, and there would be a promo guy, and there would probably also be a college rep. And so we would go do at least 2 radio stations a day. We would do an in-store. We would probably, because of politics, you couldn't do 2 in-stores, but we would shake hands in another record store. Retail and radio meant something, and it was right during a period of deregulation where the formats were really open. So we were getting played on like multiple formats, and they worked us ragged. They worked us so ragged, but like we would never have broken unless they'd done that, and unless we'd been willing to do it. So we were really lucky.
So the big machine worked for you.
Absolutely worked.
It really, that is incredible, because sometimes I hear I hear the opposite, but I'm so glad that worked for you. And what?
Oh yeah, and the reps were awesome people. I mean, but once again,
they usually
worked
are.
For it. Yeah, the local reps. I mean, it was their whole regional Sony system was unparalleled. And I hear people like I'm friends with people who are like, in that like my friend Hale Milgram. He was like president of Capitol for a while, and he talks about Camelot, like the old Mo Austin days, like, or when Warner, when it was like, let's be a successful record company, not by pandering, but by teaching people how to love great music, right?
Right.
This golden age. And and I think it's why the people who did the best in the label system were also people like Prince or Tom Petty or Springsteen, who just were freight trains, who you could not tell them what to do. They would not play your game, and dropping them wasn't going to stop them, right? The only thing you can do with a force of nature like that is either get out of the way or jump on board, because you're going to lose if you go against it. And we were not that. So the fact that we had this really embracing environment was really lucky. I mean, we would have been dropped in a year, any other situation.
So you had an incredible success with that record, and congratulations, by the way. What a fun ride that must have been. Was it fun for you? Did you guys have a good time doing that?
It was fun. Once again, I was plagued with imposter syndrome.
Will you explain that a little bit, please? Just because I think that's something that could be a teachable moment for the people who are up and coming and people who don't understand the music business.
It happens a lot with success in general, and I think a lot, especially with people who are successful quickly, or if you don't have like kind of that incredible ego and ego, positive, negative, whatever, but like that solid footing, right? Like that center of balance. imposter syndrome is basically this thing of like going, you think I'm someone else. I'm not supposed to be here. Like, what are you all cheering?
Right.
These songs aren't that good. I'm not that great a singer. Like, what the fuck are you, like, what?
Yeah.
You got it wrong. And it was this kind of constant panic that people were going to figure it out. And you see some people where you can tell, even if they still continue to do well, where I think you see shades of their panic underneath their public persona, right?
Right.
But, you know, there's surgeons who have imposter syndrome. It's not an uncommon thing. And part of that even goes, you know, the Dunning-Kruger effect. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
Dunning-Kruger effect, and I feel sorry for doctors Dunning and Kruger, because their legacy is this research that talked about confidence and then confidence versus performance, and found that those who perform the best tend not to think they nailed it. Those who perform really well are paying attention to nuances, and they are self-critical, and they're questioning. And so this research was based on doing these tests and then having people rate their performance. And the people who most often went, nailed it, were a little more Trumpish about it. They're just like, oh, I did perfectly. I am amazing. Right. Of course I nailed it. If you think I did wrong, it's because you're grading it funny. You know, it's like, it's the people who think they do the best are actually not paying attention. And
got it.
And so that there is a certain part of the curve where there's some people who are like, I didn't know the answers to any of that. Like, sorry, like, you know, it's not an absolute correlation, but there is a definite curve of, you know, performance versus like, versus self-confidence. And so a lot of people who do well, once again, and I think even being a songwriter, it depends on what kind of song you write. Most of my songs are about questioning yourself and being uncertain and feeling small and vulnerable and emotional in an uncontrollable world, right? And so,
wow.
So that's actually who I am. And yeah, I always felt like when we were successful, I was sure it was going to come crashing down at any moment. And it eventually did. But
was it debilitating for you?
Somewhat, yeah. It was really hard.
Okay.
I talk pretty openly about depression and anxiety. It's like I've fought it my entire life.
I've seen that.
I'm wired that way. And also, I think what that comes with is partly what makes me a good artist. And my art, once again, doesn't speak to everybody. But
no, let me interrupt you and say I totally agree with that statement. I have many incredible songwriting friends who are a lot like what have the feelings and emotions and vulnerability that you are saying that you have, that are my most brilliant songwriting friends. They feel everything, and they're able to write about that, and that's part of their therapy. And I commend you for being so open about that. I think you've helped a lot of people out, man.
And that's, I mean, as far as purpose goes, that's part of it. Like, my job is I crack myself open to help other people crack themselves open. And so for me, the thing is, when I go into the dark, I learn a lot. And the healthier I am, the more solid I am, the more I can go into the dark and understand that it's part of my cycle and what I do. And I don't feel cursed there, and I don't lose my identity there. But I get the jewels out of it, right? And so,
right, you take it for what it is, and you're able to separate it. It sounds like,
yeah. There's a song I sing, and I lead a community choir, and one of the songs we sing is by this woman, Barbara McAfee, from actually the Twin Cities, and it's, you know, just the lyric is, every time I go into the darkness, I return with fistfuls of jewels. And it's like that idea that happiness, it's a more Buddhist attitude towards happiness, that happiness isn't about getting the result of a life where you get everything you want. Happiness is about an ability to find strength and resource even when it's not a situationally dependent state. It's not outcome based, because we love things and we don't want the things we love to change or die or go away.
Amen to that.
Right?
That's scary. That's fear stuff.
Well, and that's the thing, but they do. They change, they go away, they die. And if they don't die, we die, right? So
True.
And keeping that in mind, and once again, for some reason, I've just never been able to not think about these things. And so for me, it's a matter of going, okay, love plus time equals loss and grief. And you don't grieve things that you don't truly love. So grief is ultimately a blessing. Grief is like the greatest blessing you have, because it means you were able to love something deeply, even though you knew it would move away from you. And it takes a real bravery and a real strength to love wholeheartedly in the face of inevitable change. And so, keeping that in mind, it's like every tear is a gift, right? And it doesn't mean it's a pity party. It doesn't mean that you're worshiping depression or sorrow or pain. It means you're giving it its due respect. And it means you're understanding that the price of your ecstasy, the price of your joy are those tears, and that you can hold them in a way that you don't collapse under, that doesn't destroy you. And so that's the stuff that really moves me. And that's more and more as I get older, I realize I've been doing work that is increasingly less like pop music and less it's become a very personal thing. And so it's interesting. I think all songs serve people. And frankly, something I learned through doing the choir leading as a person who specializes in sad or kind of wrenching music, that singing joyful songs can bring you to joy just as easily. I suddenly learned that, oh my God, writing a song about joy takes me there. It's so much quicker than writing a song about mutual sadness. But there's room for them both.
Talk to me a little bit about what. No, that's fascinating to me, because you've taken a focus now and a new purpose, it seems like, in leading sing-alongs with choirs. People might look at that and go, well, now that's an interesting choice. Why do you do that?
It's some weird hippie stuff.
We're going to break away from the interview right now because I want to tell you about a couple of really cool things. First of all, thank you to everybody who's embraced Funk Friday. We are having so much fun bringing a little joy to the internet every single Friday with a 1-minute funk jam. So thank you so much for that. And if you like Funk Friday and you like Music on the Run and you want to become our partner and help us put those shows on, go to patreon.com/Music on the Run podcast. Again, become our partner at patreon.com/Music on the Run podcast. And there you'll get all the information on how you can financially help us produce this podcast and get some pretty cool merchandise and incentives in return. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the patrons who've already signed up. We could not do this show without you. As always, thank you so much for supporting us here at Music on the Run. Now back to our interview. Why do you do that?
It's some weird hippie stuff. Mostly because I love it.
Well, that's a good answer.
Yeah, because I love it. But I mean, the reason I love it is because it is, I'm trying to think how to describe this. I'd been talking to friends for about 15 years about finding non-performative modes of music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love mastery, and I love the exquisite things that a very tuned musician is capable of achieving, right? And, you know, when you talk about mastery as well, it's like you can see it even on stage. There are people, you get to a point where you can play well enough, feel well enough, sing well enough, be intuitive and facile enough that surprising things can move through you. And musicians who aren't just bound by their ego, they know they live in service of that. Like you become masterful in order to disappear and become a conduit for something, right?
Ooh,
and
wait a minute. Say that again. Whoa, that's everything right there.
Yeah, like you don't do this so that you can have the audience look at you and go, "Oh my God, that was incredible." Like that's a really small goal. That's dancing monkey stuff. Like you do that so that you can disappear at a really high level, and that what you do is so transcendent that the audience is carried into that same egoless state that you are, right? And that's what the masters do. They don't exist except as a conduit when they're operating at that flow state. And the good thing is, if you're able to do that state, you're probably also able on a bad night to be confident enough that everybody has a great time. I've been thinking for about 15 years, like kind of about the history of music, and that performative, professionalized music, I mean, it's been around in some form or another for a while, but for most of human history, everybody sang, and everybody sang pretty much whenever. People sang when they worked. People sang when they ate. People sang when their crotches got hairy for the first time, you know, rites of passage. People sang at the fire at night. People sang to the plants and animals around them, and to the sun and to the night and the directions. And it wasn't something that only the shaman did. It wasn't something that only the best voice in the village did. And the songs were owned by everybody. And they changed, right? They were communal property. And there's something in that experience. And I got off on a tangent when I was talking about mastery, but there's a mastery, I think, for anybody to be able to sing and lose themselves. And I just kept thinking of like, I love performing, but I feel like not only musicians should have that experience. And so I was asking these questions, and then I kind of through a couple of friends, through a friend, Lisa Littlebird is her name. She's a song leader up in like the Carmel area. And I found this whole community, Barbara McAfee's in Minneapolis, St. Paul, this guy, Lawrence Cole, he's like 83 years old up in Port Townsend, Washington. This network of people who are leading these choirs. And the one I do is just, it's a drop-in thing in a living room. And there's no audition. There is no, in my case, no performance. And the songs are designed even so that non-musicians can learn and sing them quickly. They're mostly like 3-part intertwining, like contrapuntal melodies. It's easier for non-singers to hold a counter melody than a harmony. Harmony like really messes people up. So the songs tend to be very short form and repetitive and layered. I would say they're a little bit like kirtan tradition, which is like more of a yogic singing tradition. Those in that they're short and repetitive, but that turns into a kind of breath work, right? You start singing together and you start breathing together and remember. And I think for non-singers, I mean, I've had musician friends come in and they get really bored by this kind of music. But for non-musicians and some musicians as well, it's like, it's not about how great it sounds or it's about excellence. It's about singing a really simple song for maybe 5-10 minutes and going really deep in the repetition of it. Even Philip Glass, right, or Stephen Reich talk about, repetition, like Philip Glass, these tiny segments, but what happens if you repeat it 100 times? Like, it takes you somewhere differently. different patterns and changes that you notice and that emerge. And so they're very simple songs, but they allow non-musicians to hit those same states where like you can see the rapture on people's faces, and especially getting people who've been shamed their entire life. For me, it's been a really profound experience, and it's not for everybody, but for some people, they're like, I've been looking for this for 20 years and I haven't known what it is. And it's a lot of older people. It's a lot of people who are in the 50s or older, and they're not needing to be cool anymore. And at this point, they're over their shame and they just want to feel good.
Right.
Like, because I remember when I was a kid, when I had the house to myself, I would clear all the books off of the coffee table. It was a good, strong wooden coffee table. And that was my dance platform. And I would turn on like Studio 54 or Soul Train, and I would dance my ass off. And like, I remember when I saw disco, it's like they were free in a way that I could only dream of being. Like the way I saw it, like they were fabulous and feathered and colorful, and they were so free. And like, I wanted to be that free all the time. And at an early age, I got shamed out of dancing. I had a couple people shut me down permanently.
I'm with you on that one.
And you were with Prince? I guess you got to hide.
Well, I was the longest, lankiest, not grown into my body white dude you've ever met in your life from the suburbs, and I got thrust into something completely different.
That's amazing.
It's crazy. Oh yeah, I mean, we got story. We'll now we're friends. We'll talk offline about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but for me, like this is this getting back to as an adult. I've reclaimed dance for myself. I don't have to be sexy. I don't have to be young. My body loves moving, and it's just this ability to say like, fuck it, I want to dance. And these other people who go like, I want to sing. I don't care if it sounds bad. Like
you're giving them freedom. You're giving them their childlike attitude back. It sounds like you're creating a whole community based on freedom. What a beautiful thing, and what a healing thing that must be for you too.
It's been a good balance. And like for me, doing things like that and, doing my weird solo projects and making music that most people, that's never going to get played on the radio or placed anywhere. Like it makes me feel okay about going with Toad and playing a bunch of hits for people and making people happy. And I hope I take them somewhere transcendent. But, my best musical experiences, and even before I found all kind of, things like, the community singing, it's like when I met Nickel Creek and started playing with them, we would play a show.
Please talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. I was like kind of feeling bitter and over when the band broke up. And I met them and they were the most open-minded, life-eating, like in the best, like they just wanted to know and think about and experience everything, and they loved playing music more than anything. And
they loved your music. They loved your writing.
Yeah, and I mean, I had to improve as a musician, and they were so gentle with me as a musician and as a human being. I worked so hard just to keep up and not mess it up with them. And they were so generous and gleeful, and even being on tour, so unjaded. It's like, every town, it's like, hey, we got to let's find a local coffee shop. Like just,
right.
There's a museum like 2 blocks from here. There's, they were so in love with life. And they really saved my life. Like, I don't think that's overstating.
Well, absolutely true. And now let me ask you something. I'm going to switch gears on you just a little bit. I do want to talk about you being on the road. You've been on the road, all of your life, because this is called Music on the Run. And we do not only talk about music, obviously, but we also talk about how do we survive on the road. You're away from your family. I know you have children, and I also read that you are a runner. Is that still the case?
Right now I have a foot injury. Right now I'm letting it heal, which is a real pain in the ass. But I practice yoga.
That's always tough.
Practice yoga. I run. For me, tour on a bus is really easy. Like, we are at that place where we don't have money to spend on hotel rooms. So we get like 1 or 2 rooms a week. We mostly sleep on the bus, show up at the next town, get a shower room or whatever. So when I'm on the road with Toad, and we're lucky enough to have a crew, which a lot of people don't have. So I wake up, I read, I go for a run first thing in the morning. We usually tour in the summer. So I go on a run first thing in the morning, and I wake up as early as I can get away with. Go on the road, like run before it gets too hot. And I'm like 3 to 5. I found that if I go far beyond 5 miles, I don't remember lyrics. Like, I have to I can't run too far. I was getting really into going like 8, 12 miles, and then I would start forgetting words at the shows. So
I can relate with that.
So I don't push it like super hard. I run most days. I also like to do yoga. But I read, I take care of myself. Like, I use the day to kind of be really healthy. And then on the best tours, you know, I'm not an excessive drinker, but I get depressed if I drink regularly. And it wears out my voice and makes me less happy. So I'm not a happy enough person to drink regularly. So...
well, at least you recognize that.
Yeah, I had a friend who described it as like every drug takes something from somewhere else. You know, it's like coffee takes your next afternoon's energy. Alcohol takes tomorrow's happiness. And if you got a lot of happiness, you can top it off once in a while. Yeah. But if you don't have a ton of spare, it wears down after a few days, and then you're at bottom. So, yeah. So for me, it's like keeping it clean, right? Keeping hydrated, running, just taking good care of myself, because it's all about the show. And I need to be happy and healthy and vital and have energy, or the show's going to suck. And so, and I want to be uplifting too. I did years, like when the band broke up and I first started going solo, honestly, I should have just checked myself in somewhere. I went on the road for years, resentful and depressed and like kind of suicidal. And I remember getting letters from people saying, "You clearly don't want to be here. Don't waste my time and money." And and I lost a lot of audience and a lot of opportunity. And, you know, I had 3 young kids at the time. I was freaking out. And so I felt trapped and I went on the road. But honestly, I should have like literally checked myself in somewhere and got my head straight. And so it can get really dark if you're dark. And the problem is your audience knows it. And so like mental health and care, there were years where it was hard with the band, and I would go into intensive therapy before tour because I would get so anxious and wound up. And I would go for the sake of myself and for the sake of the audience, because if I'm unhappy up there, the show is not going to be good. And and it's a really good reason to be healthy, right? What a great reason. It's like if I'm doing okay, I can lift a lot of other people's spirits. And if I'm not, you know, there is the thing where sometimes you're having like a really hard time, you get some bad news, and then the audience is like, "Wow, man, you were really feeling it tonight." Like, but then again, I've had nights where I was just like having digestive trouble, and And they say the same thing, like, God, you were it was incredible. It's like, well, it's not what you thought it was, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
it was that last burrito, that veggie burrito.
Really, the Indian food. I don't do Indian food or Thai food before a show. I love Indian food. So the other thing for me is like on solo touring, I'm often by myself or I'm with one other person sharing a hotel room because my touring is small. So I am in a compact car, driving usually 4 to 6 hours a day, sometimes 2 if I'm on the East Coast and I'm lucky. And in those days, it's just about getting it done, right? You got to wake up early. You got to get a run in first thing or you're not going to get a run in. Get on the road. Like when I go home, I'm really unstructured, but solo touring, there's no choice because nothing is optional.
Yeah.
So it's like wake up, run, drive, load in, get a little something to eat again on the way. Maybe you get to the hotel before the show if you're lucky, but probably not. Eat, but not too close to the show. And then in my case, once again, you play the show, you set up the merch, you settle out the show, you pack up, you sign stuff and shake hands. Like with the band now, we have a VIP, so I meet people before. I don't have to thrash my voice. Smart. The VIP has been great. I'm also more tense when I'm with the band and the songs are in a higher register, so I really have to look after my throat more. Solo, it's less people and it's less time, so I still try to do the after show thing, but as time goes on, it's just more. And frankly, when I got divorced, like when Toad went on tour, I started having panic attacks after the show, and we were the band that would stay. We would stay for 2 hours, 3 hours some night. I mean, we would be there at least an hour after every show, shaking every hand, being there for the very last person. And that was that was the other way we built the band. We always hung out after the show, and anyone who showed up was welcome. And so now I have to protect myself in some ways psychically and in some ways just time-wise and throat-wise. I just noticed if I did the after show, my throat was screwed up. So, I mean, mostly on tour, it's making sure you get the run in, making sure you do something that is outside and strengthening your body, right? And I took a psych class last fall. It didn't seem like negative stress, and I think the term is eustress, EU stress. And eustress is positive stress. It's like when you make a muscle stronger, right? Like when you practice at your edge. That's eustress. That's like pushing forward through something stressful that makes you actually improved and happier. And so making sure as much as possible you do your run, or at least you take a walk. If the meal is provided at the venue, then I will eat at the venue. Otherwise, I always go for a walk. And actually, if it's a crap meal, I eat somewhere else because I'd rather have something good than something free. But I always, with Toad or with, I don't get like ordering in and staying in the venue all day. I always walk. Like, you get to see a town. You get to have something new to talk about. You get to people watch. You get to check stuff. The other reason I run is like, you go to San Antonio and the band's like, man, there's nothing to do here. It's nothing. I'm like, are you kidding? You run on the river?
Go on the boardwalk. Run on the boardwalk. Exactly.
It's awesome. It goes on forever. It's like, what do you mean there's not like, and the good thing is most venues are close to a river. They're like close to downtown. Therefore, because most towns are on a river, they're close to water. And most days I find my river and I run it. And so solo, it's harder just because the margins are tighter. And I have to watch my voice. If I'm with my opening act, I'm usually got like somebody with me in the car. And I got to watch my voice because I like to talk. And if I talk for 4 hours in the car, I can't sing as well.
Yeah, you're in trouble then. Yep.
So lots of podcasts. And books on tape. But it's more, it's just like, get everything done, put your health at a premium, and put experience outside of the club at a premium. You know, be able to just enjoy walking around neighborhoods, people watch, check out, you know, sit down at a local coffee shop, check out a museum if you have time. Like, say yes to the experience of being out there, because you're really lucky and rich. I mean, Toad played in Tokyo back when we were young, so I'll forgive him. But like, we never got to go back to Japan. We did like one showcase, and I remember like the company took us out for like a soba dinner and a sushi dinner, I think. Mm-hmm. And the band, two of the guys, there was a steak place at the hotel. The rest of and they did eat there. They ate every meal at McDonald's in Tokyo.
Of course they did. That's what you did when you were kids in Japan, though. Yeah. That was the thing. I can't eat any of this food.
Oh my God. I just like, but I went to I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm weird. I'm like, I heard natto is something that people don't like. I want to try natto. Like, I want to try that. Like,
adventurous.
Like, give me I want to experience something different. And like, it's such a gift to ever get to try out anything different. Like, you know, that's the thing. Eat life, like, in all ways.
It's true. Yeah.
You know, don't. Yeah. So.
Man, that's good. That's good word for the road. That's an interesting perspective, and I love the way you boiled it down for the different touring when you're with Toad and when you're by yourself. I mean, you're the guy on everything on a solo tour.
I would say, like, the other thing that having the band teaches me, I mean, and having another person, my God, it's such a gift. It's amazing to have one other person on the road. Having with Toad a crew, having people to help. Like, I thank my guitar tech every time he hands me a guitar. It's like, because I don't have a guitar tech most of the time. I understand, and once again, depression is in large part about ingratitude. It's about not being unwilling to be grateful, but having ungrateful, repetitive loops in my mind, right? And so gratitude, for me, has to be a very active practice. I have to make myself do it and repeat it. It's a practice. And being on the road and having done both, I know I'm not entitled to any of the comfort I get on the road with Toad. I'm not entitled to any of it. And I know how to do it all by myself. And I've had years with no record company, no manager, doing my own website, like literally doing everything except tour managing. And I do it, most of it really badly, but I have done enough of it to be really grateful for anyone who can do it well. And even to have anyone else ever want to do it or help with it. Like, if you have help, you're lucky. And most musicians, I know musicians who are way better than I am, that carry all the weight on their own shoulders. So like, and the fact that you have the gratitude to simply play in front of an audience who wants to hear what you're doing. And, you know, just that, you know, bass line, even if you're doing it all yourself. Like, I've been there too. I've played, you know, I've played the rooms where nobody gave a damn. And, you know, it's strange. Sometimes as an artist now, I get hired for events where they want to have the guy from Toad and nobody listens. Everybody talks the entire time. And it's like,
but you make $1 million on those. Those are the highest paying gigs.
For some reason, they pay the most, but nobody cares. And
I know.
Going like, you know, I'm still really lucky. At least I get paid for no one to listen. But like, to ever have the gig where people listen and care it's all a gift. And so that's the other thing. It's just like, sounds dumb, but I talk about practicing gratitude because, once again, I've collapsed a number of times. I've lost my shit and I've lost a lot of opportunity because of it. And it's actually one of the most important things you can do is to be grateful and to remain grateful. and to understand that you're going to see the same people year after year, and your kindness to them is like the best commodity you have, because they're going to see you up, they're going to see you down. If you treat people well, no matter where you are, and even to a degree, no matter how you're feeling, tell them you're feeling bad. You're going to have hard days. Taking it out on people is never allowed. Like,
right.
You know, have your bad day, but don't make it another person's problem. You know, and, you know, don't even make it your audience's problem. It's like, you can be honest about it if that's the type of show you do. Luckily for me, that's the kind of show I do. But I can also be funny about it, and I can be revealing and open about it. Instead of, like I was 20 years ago, I was just a bummer about it.
Live and learn, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I want to commend you on some of the, during the research that I've done on you. I've watched several of your Facebook Lives, and what you're doing for the community. I've seen you raise money for many different things, and I think that is such a cool way to give back and to set an example, not only for your fans, but for other artists to go, I have a platform and I have an opportunity to share, you know, whatever you have to be able to raise money for such important causes, not cost, causes. Yeah. And I just wanted to commend you on that, because I think that is really incredible. And you don't have to do that, and you choose to do that.
Yeah, it felt natural. Can I ask what time it is? Only because I have to bounce like by 1:30, and I know I'm talking a lot.
It's 11:20, and we are going to wrap it up in the next 30 seconds.
Okay, great.
So that would be 1:20 your time here.
Okay, perfect. I started doing these things. I mean, I don't think anybody thought this was going to last. I thought it might last a while. I didn't think it was going to last this long. You know, but it was quarantine, and I was at home, and I saw that I'd never done Facebook Live. So I pressed that button, and then I'm like, oh, there's a donate button. You can make it. I mean, so there's a lot of things I won't thank Facebook for, but
yeah,
they make it very easy to do a fundraiser. And so I just figured I was going to be home for a few weeks. So I started by doing 5 a week. And then after a few weeks of that, it was like a little like, okay, I'll do 3 a week. And then somebody wrote me and asked if they could send me a tip. And I'm like, oh, I should probably put something up there for that too, like a PayPal.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, what else are you going to do? Like, there's an audience, there's time, and we're all feeling like out of sorts. And I mean, the beauty of, I think the thing that happened with the live streams was because I've done them, and I'm about to take a week or 2 off. I'm doing a little traveling, and I actually need some time to get my head back in line.
Yep.
But I've pretty much done those 3 a week and to stage it, and I've been doing my choir thing on Tuesday nights on Zoom just about every week since this started. And I think the regularity has been really important for people who are cut off from their other communities. And it's been a beautiful thing to see the way, like, everybody they know each other. They know what they're going through. They know whose parents have passed away, and who's had COVID, and who's had surgery, and who's having a hard time. And
your community.
There's couples that have come out of it. Like, a few people met in the chat and fell in love, and they're like living together now. Like, it's been a really beautiful thing to see something kind of authentic come out of this strange thing. And it's mostly, I feel like I'm it's the medium by which this community, like, people want to build communities, and if you give them a chance to, they will. And so these people have been able to build this and feel and do good. And even if, sometimes they can't give anything, sometimes we raise a lot. There was one of the people coming to the things had a brain tumor, and we got to raise a bunch of money for him, and like,
Wow.
It's less than it was at the beginning because it's been going on so long, but
Sure.
and I like that it's been kind of homespun and not, there's been no promo. It's like I make the graphics, I set up the shows, it's like, it's not, there's no like third party promo for any of it. So, I mean, Lady Gaga could raise 10 times as much as I've raised, in 10 minutes today. But considering the size of the audience and, the scope, I think we've done pretty well. And
Yeah.
we've made something really beautiful. And it's felt really good. And for me, I think it's also felt like this opportunity to try to create a smaller, like once again, I'm going to sound like a hippie, but like a non-transactional economy, where I get to give something that's generous and free and use it as a device for more generosity for people. And in the process, those people have actually supported me this year.
Well, right.
And without a price tag or a ticket or a tip jar, just like if you want to send me a tip, you can. And people have really valued it. And it's been great to see. I don't know. It's just really been great to see how deeply valued it is for people when you don't put a price tag on it. And when they see that I'm giving and that I'm showing up and they're doing the same for each other and for the causes and for me. And it's like, it proves to me something that honestly also in this era, I felt I really needed proof of, which was that people are generous and non-transactional, and that's actually something that gives us the most joy and purpose. And so for me, it's like a social experiment, and I feel like it's been really positive. And it got the result that I would have hoped it would have. So,
Glen, I cannot thank you enough for spending so much time with us. You are such a fascinating individual, and of course, an incredible musician. The fact that you are sharing your journey with your struggles and how you've dealt with them, and I think it's helped your fan base and will help others in the business relate to those things. I think there's so many of us out there that still think that mental health is taboo to talk about, which is silly, of course, but that's a factor. But I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of all of us fellow musicians, and we just want to say we thank you, and the work you're doing is great, and we can't wait to hear what you got coming out next. And everybody out there, where can we find your weekly concerts?
Just on Facebook or YouTube. I post them up as they come. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. usually. I may move that because my girlfriend's a teacher, so it takes up all my evenings. So it's 6 p.m. Pacific on Mondays and Fridays, and it is noon for the international crowd on Wednesdays. And then Sunday nights on Stage It, and then Tuesday nights for,
You're a busy man. Thank you again so much for joining us. You guys.
Thank you.
Glen Phillips. Everybody, episode 33, that's in the books. We will see you in a couple of weeks. Music on the Run was hosted by yours truly, St. Paul Peterson. Edited and produced by my buddy Davide Raso. Video editing by Ivan Sebastianov. And a very special thanks to the people who financially support this podcast.
And remember, vacations are good for the soul.